Tonight, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on Slavic people. You know, oftentimes it seems like online and other places I've heard white people speak ill or disparagingly about Slavic people, and I think this is complete bullshit. I believe it's horse shit. I don't want to hear it. Because Slavic people, they are just as much native European as the rest of us, you know. I've only met a few Slavic people in my lifetime. Now, as I mentioned, I've always been greatly interested in the Slavic people since a young age, honestly. And I believe this reason is because that when I was younger, growing up, I was into a couple of hobbies that, Slavic peoples, they hold near and dear to their heart. And those two hobbies was chess and ice hockey. My dad, he taught me how to play chess when I was 7 years old, and of course, there were a huge number of grandmasters who came out of the Soviet Union, namely Russia, such as Boris Spassky, Mikhail Botvinnik, Tigran Petrosian, you know. And then the other was ice hockey, of course. Now, it's weird, we live here in the southern United States, and I've never played ice hockey, but growing up, I was fanatical about it. Me and my younger brother and my dad were. We would watch it on TV. Since we didn't have hockey sticks, when I was pretty young, Dad, he cut a few limbs out of a tree and cut them up for us to basically make homemade hockey sticks so me and my little brother could play out there in the yard. And as we got older, we bought some those rollerblades, and we would go play on the basketball court at school. It was great fun, and of course, hockey is a huge deal over there in Russia and Eastern Europe, basically all of Europe and Canada. Excuse me. But yeah, from a young age, I've always been very interested in Slavic people. And over here in the United States, it seems like that Eastern Europe has a very interesting history. The Slavic people, they have a very, very interesting history, you know. And over here in the United States, we're not taught about it. It wasn't until, just several years ago that I only learned about learned more in depth about the history of Eastern Europe, There's the story of Sviatoslav the Brave. That's one of my favorite stories, the pagan hero who destroyed the Jewish state of Khazaria. And then there's the stories of Byzantium, and it's very interesting. And of course, we're not taught anything about that here in the United States. I don't know why that many of our people, they speak disparagingly about Slavic people. I've never understood this. Maybe it's because, the Soviet Union. Maybe it's because, the Russians, they fought against the Germans in World War II. Maybe it's also because of the huge number of rapes that occurred in the waning days of World War II as Russia made their way west towards the Soviet Union. But honestly, I don't blame this so much on the Slavic. Sure, the people that raped German women, that's horrible. I'm not making any excuses for that. That's horrible. But honestly, if you look at it, the Soviet Union and communism, it wasn't a Slavic movement. It wasn't a Slavic ideology. And also the number of rapes that occurred, I believe you can attribute that to the Soviet Union journalist Ilya Ehrenberg. And I'll leave it up to you. Do you know? I'm sure you can assume what ethnicity Ilya Ehrenberg was. Wasn't Russian. So yeah, I see no sense in disparaging the Slavic people. They're just as much Native European as Germanic, Celtic, whatever. In my life, I've met a few Slavic people. And you know, the Slavs, they've made huge contributions to culture, to art. One of my favorite artists, painters, is Ivan Shishkin. He paints beautiful pictures such as these. I mean, look how realistic these landscapes are. They're amazing. They're beautiful. And as I mentioned, I've met a few Slavic people in my life. Right now, we have some. Excuse me, I've got the coof. Hopefully, I ain't coming down with this shit. But we have some Russian neighbors. There's a Russian family that lives here behind us, and they have two daughters. And these daughters, they're so polite and well-mannered. They are infatuated with our dog Loki. They love him, and he loves being around them too. He's usually kind of skittish around kids, but every time he sees those girls outside, you know, he'll run up to them, and it's hilarious. And these Russian girls, you know, the oldest one is 10 years old. And her little sister is 8 years old, and you know they're blonde-haired, blue-eyed, very sweet girls, and they speak English. Honestly, I believe that they speak English more grammatically correct than I do, and that's saying something. But they also are fluent in Russian. They were born in Russia years back, and I love hearing them talk to each other in Russian. I can't understand. That's another thing. Out of all the European languages, you know, I think the Germanic languages are pretty. I'm trying to learn German right now. The key word there is trying. But I've always thought that the Slavic languages were the most pleasing to hear to me. I can't understand a word of any of it, but I think it sounds beautiful, you know. I would really love to be able to learn a Slavic language, but I don't see it happening. And I've also thought the Cyrillic alphabet, I've always thought it was much more visually pleasing than, you know, our Latin alphabet. So yeah. And I've also, in the past, I haven't seen them in years, but I had a couple of friends who were of Polish descent. One was named Matt, the other was Derek. They were good people. I highly doubt you're watching this, but if you guys were ever to see this, Nostrovia. And also online, I've noticed that there's a lot of people that watch my videos and that I speak to on Twitter online that are of, they're Slavic. I think of my friend Warwolf there on Twitter. He's of Slavic descent. He lives up in Washington State. He's a very nice guy, seems like. We text each other on occasion. And I also think of my friend that I speak to on Twitter quite a bit. He watches these videos and comments. His Twitter handle is Nabolsha. I think that's how I might be pronouncing that incorrectly. But he's a Serbian gentleman, and I enjoy speaking to him quite a bit. And lastly, I'd like to mention my friend on Twitter. He lives in Russia, up in the Ural Mountains. And here is a couple of pictures that he took. He goes by the Twitter handle Digital Novelty, and we speak quite a bit on Twitter. Here's some beautiful pictures of a recent trip that he took with a friend up in the forests up in the Ural Mountains. And he was even kind enough to write my name on a rock there, my Twitter handle name on a rock there on the Ural Mountains. And I found this yesterday. He'd posted it on his Twitter page, and it was a kind-hearted gesture. It made me feel good, made me happy. And I'm going to do the same for him here soon. See, it's very interesting. I like speaking with him about the Ural Mountains because I was fascinated with the Ural Mountains when I was a young boy, because I think when I was 4 years old, I had gotten a globe, and I would spin it around, look at everything, and I would look at Russia, and this globe, it had the indentions for the mountains and the valleys on it, and the Ural Mountains caught my eye because Russia, my dad still has this globe at his house. We've had it since I was 4 years old, and this was just right after that the Soviet Union had failed. And the Ural Mountains, they run north to south almost perfectly in a straight line, and that always caught my eye. And also the fact that the Ural Mountains, they're like the Appalachian Mountains here. They are some of the oldest mountains in the world. So I've been very interested in it, and I enjoy seeing the pictures and stuff that Digital Novelty posts. I have to use Translate, of course, because it's in Russian, but I enjoy it. I learn a lot from him. And it's a shame because I really wish I could meet these people like Warwolf or Nabosha or Digital Novelty. I wish I could meet them in real life. I wish I could shake their hand, maybe have dinner with them or something. That's one of the good things about the internet, is you can come into contact with people across the world, but I wish we could meet each other in real life. Who knows, maybe someday. But also Digital Novelty, he sent me all these awesome music videos from Russian artists from around his area there in the Ural Mountains, and I didn't understand a single lyric that they were saying, but the music was beautiful. It was outstanding. So, yeah, these are just some of my thoughts on the Slavic people. I think they're very interesting. I'm fascinated by them. I wish I knew more about them. I wish I knew how to speak a Slavic language, but yeah, that's just my thoughts on it, and I think it's horse shit, people that speak disparagingly of them. And another thing I'd like to add is, it wasn't up until a year ago that I discovered, just looking at pictures online and stuff, and watching some of the Stefan's videos on his World Tree channel, the Balkans looks absolutely comfy. I mean, it's beautiful there. The latest video by Stefan that he posted, I guess, a week or two ago, it was snowing there in Serbia where he lives, and the landscape around it, it looks just like it does here in the Appalachian Mountains up there in northeast Tennessee where I'm from. Just the way the mountains were, the snow, it was beautiful. And then I think of, there's so many beautiful places in like Slovenia, in Croatia. If you haven't ever heard of it, look up the Plitvice Lakes National Park in Croatia. That's one of the most beautiful places that I've ever seen. I hope I could travel there one day because it's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, these are just some of my thoughts on Slavic people. I hope y'all have a great day. Thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.